Every life begins in pursuit. We chase numbers, goals, milestones. We call it success, achievement, progress. But what if everything we were taught about wealth was incomplete? What if wealth isn't about accumulation at all, but circulation? What if the true measure of prosperity is not how much you gather, but how long your wealth continues to move without you? This is not the story of a fortune. It is the story of a system, a living architecture of money, energy, and motion. A design that refuses decay, that thrives on rhythm, not reaction. This is the story of the perpetual cash flow machine. Chapter 1. The Birth of the Machine. Long before digital markets and stock exchanges, there were merchants, men and women who learned that wealth was not earned once, it was generated again and again. A trader sailing across the Mediterranean knew the secret. If one voyage could fund the next, if one investment could breed another, then wealth could exist in motion, endlessly cycling, endlessly growing. From that truth was born a simple formula: earn, reinvent, reinvest, repeat. And thus, the first cash flow machines began to turn. Chapter 2. The Addiction to Accumulation. Modern finance has perfected the art of accumulation and the illusion that comes with it. We are told that success means ownership, more property, more stocks, more digits in our account. But accumulation is an illusion of safety. It whispers, if you have enough, you'll never fear again. Yet fear remains, because static wealth, like stagnant water, begins to rot. True security does not come from holding, it comes from flowing. The wealthy are not those who collect, they are those who circulate. Chapter 3. The Law of Motion. In nature, everything that lives moves. Rivers, blood, wind, trade, all in motion. Wealth follows the same law. When you let your capital move through dividends, rent, royalties, or returns, it gains life. When you freeze it in fear, it begins to die. Money is not an object, it is energy, and energy obeys motion. The perpetual cash flow machine is not an invention, it is an alignment with nature's oldest rhythm: circulation. Chapter 4. The Myth of Decumulation. For generations, people were told a story: work for 40 years, save diligently, retire quietly, then spend it all down. That story is called decumulation. It is a tragedy written in spreadsheets, because every withdrawal, every consumption erodes the very foundation of freedom. When your principal fades, so does your independence. The perpetual cash flow machine rejects that fate. It says, do not consume the seed, live from the harvest. Spend the yield, protect the root. That is how a fortune becomes forever. Chapter 5. The Geometry of Wealth. Imagine your wealth as a circle, an eternal loop of inflow and outflow. When inflows exceed outflows, the circle expands. When outflows dominate, the loop collapses. The goal is not expansion without end. That leads to imbalance. The goal is equilibrium in motion. This is the sacred geometry of wealth, shaped like the number 8. 2 loops, endlessly turning, one for generation, one for regeneration. The symbol of infinity and the silent logo of the perpetual cash flow machine. Chapter 6. The Architecture of Flow. Every machine begins as a design, a plan, a purpose. In this machine, each part has its role. Core assets, the engine that produces yield. Distribution channels, how that yield circulates efficiently. Reinvestment systems, feedback loops that regenerate growth. Protection structures, the casing that shields from risk. When these elements operate in harmony, your wealth ceases to be a balance sheet. It becomes a living organism, an ecosystem where every withdrawal is offset by renewal. Every distribution refuels the source. It is not a portfolio. It is perpetuity by design. Chapter 7. The Law of 8. There is a mathematical constant to sustainability, the Law of 8. A machine that yields between 4 and 8% and reinvests at least half can sustain infinite operation. Too little yield and the system withers. Too much and it burns out. Balance is the law, and balance once achieved compounds endlessly. The number 8, eternal, elegant, unbroken, represents not just abundance, but controlled abundance, the wisdom of eternal flow. Chapter 8. The Science of Distribution. Distribution is not the end of the process, it is the beginning of renewal. Every dollar that leaves the machine must re-enter another flow. Through philanthropy, it feeds society. Through reinvestment, it strengthens the engine. Through automation, it maintains rhythm without dependence. The secret of eternal wealth is not in how you earn, it's in how you distribute. Distribution with purpose is what keeps the current alive. Chapter 9. The Psychology of Flow. Behind every financial principle lies a human story, and behind every story, a set of emotions: fear, greed, trust, doubt. To build a perpetual machine, one must master the self. The poor man spends impulsively, the rich man hoards fearfully, but the wise one circulates calmly. He understands that money is not his identity, it is his instrument. When psychology aligns with principle, finance becomes philosophy. Chapter 10. The Legacy Algorithm. True wealth does not die, it transforms, but only if it's designed to. Families that build legacies don't pass down money, they pass down systems. Systems that govern reinvestment, that automate generosity, that teach discipline without emotion. This is the algorithm of legacy. Structure over sentiment, design over desire, flow over finality. When you teach your heirs how the machine works, you give them something greater than inheritance. You give them immortality. Chapter 11. The Ethics of Eternity. Eternal wealth demands moral gravity. Without ethics, perpetuity becomes exploitation. The purpose of endless flow is not endless possession, it is endless participation. Each generation must return part of its flow to nurture the next. Each fortune must contribute to the world that sustains it. The machine without morality is a weapon, but with purpose, it is a sanctuary. Chapter 12. The Flow of Time. Time is the silent partner of every investor. The impatient demand results. The wise design systems. Because time rewards rhythm, not reaction. When your money moves with time, not against it, it begins to compound in dimensions unseen. It is not about daily gains, it's about decades of design. The machine does not rush. It flows, endlessly, quietly, faithfully. Chapter 13. The Universe of Flow. Every element in the universe flows. Stars circulate energy. Planets orbit balance. Ecosystems recycle life. The same laws that govern galaxies govern capital, Flow, renewal, balance. The perpetual cash flow machine is not a human invention. It is humanity's rediscovery of the universe's oldest truth, that all prosperity is motion. Epilogue, the eternal machine. In the end, it is not wealth we seek, but rhythm. To live in balance, to give and receive, to preserve and provide. The perpetual cash flow machine is not about infinite riches, it is about infinite continuity. Because the true power of money is not in what it buys, but in what it builds. The machine hums, the current flows, and the number 8, eternal, elegant, unbroken, turns